Hello, and welcome to another edition of The Second String.
The Second String!
We're bench warmers, but we put it down.
Oh, we throw it all down, Nate. And we're coming at you an hour earlier this week. How much more could you ask for?
I know, we're fresher, we're more on time.
Fresher? Maybe?
Maybe?
I don't know, I am. I'm feeling pretty fresh today.
I didn't shave, so.
That doesn't matter. You got the face for radio.
I do. I can't believe you've done this, but you did. Anyway, I am Nate Muehlbach. Joining me today is my co-host, Alex Fernando. Alex, how you doing today?
Oh, Nate, it's been a fantastic day.
It's been a busy day. Has it been a busy day for you as it has been for me?
It's been a very busy Monday. I've given like 3 or 4 tours already. I can't even keep count of them anymore. A couple classes this morning. We got a party tonight for the game.
Exactly. And you know what? It's somebody's birthday today.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Alex.
Actually, I do.
Alex, my friends, is turning 20 or has turned 22 today.
Guilty. Just like T Swift, I'm feeling 22.
Hey,
Is it bad that I jammed out to that on my walk to class this morning?
I didn't on my 22nd birthday, but
You did your 22nd birthday wrong, Nate.
I suppose.
I plan on listening to it at least a couple more times tonight.
That's fair. We can play it a couple times. I'll be at your party.
Oh yeah,
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, come on. We're gonna have we got all sorts of desserts. We got friends. We got a national championship basketball game to watch.
National championship. That's the reason why we're doing the show an hour early, because we don't want to
impede on the game. Our show would end right as the game starts, and Nate and I, we want to see every minute of this.
Yeah, it takes us like 30 minutes to upload and
get this podcast ready for you. Yeah,
post-produce the show to get it online. And so, we wanted to actually tune in to the championship game.
And, we got the party. So.
Yeah, we do got the party to go to. You have to. I'm just going to show up.
Well, thank you for the birthday wishes, Nate. And let's dive in. We got a lot of sports to cover. We'll go in-depth on some national championship predictions here. But we got a little bit of football updates going on.
We do got some football updates.
Well, first of all, the Huskers are practicing. They're looking pretty good practicing. They're getting there, kind of getting their feet under them with the new coaching staff. I'm hearing some rumblings from the stadium, some of my sources in there. Last week on, I think Thursday it was, they actually went over about 25 minutes or a little bit on one of the practice times just because they were not stretching right. So
yeah, didn't Scott Frost just not like how they were stretching?
He did not. He got really upset and made them do it 3 times.
I can't see how you would not do stretching right. But if the coach says, we got all these bad habits, we got to get rid of them. I mean,
yeah,
it's fair to just do that, establish the tone as a coach.
It definitely, really putting the emphasis on doing the little things right. And I like this for one reason, and I dislike it for others. I don't think you should take up that much practice time with just focus on stretching just because they're doing it wrong. But I like the emphasis of doing the little things right. That's what's going to make the difference in the end. No, maybe stretching might not always make the biggest difference in the end. It's a good thing to do, don't get me wrong. But just the principle of doing the little things right. I think that's kind of the bigger point that he was trying to get across.
Exactly. It's like we said, when you're a new coach, you got to establish the culture. I remember when my freshman year of high school, it's not exactly the same, but we had a new coach my freshman year of high school, and we ran quite a bit that off season just to establish that, no, we're not going to be, the quote-unquote losing culture that was before. This is our own culture that's going to happen. We need to change. And I can understand that's what Frost is doing here.
Yeah, and I was given a stadium tour just a couple hours ago, actually. And as we were walking through the stadium, I saw the guys warming up before their lifts and before their practice. And their warm-up is pretty intense. They're doing sprints. They're doing a lot of really demanding, high-energy activities for their warm-up. And so I can see where Scott Frost and his staff are really just honing, this is the new mindset you got to be in. You got to be up and ready to go when it's time, and there's no slacking. So
yeah.
it was good to kind of walk by today and just see, all right, the guys are really getting in their in the zone, getting in that work mode. Loving practice from my friends on the team. They've been saying practice is going really well. They're pretty tired after them, and they're working hard, but it's a good kind of tired.
I mean, that's what spring football is about. You get in there to see who can hack it. And I saw on social media a bunch of people were posting like, "Oh, who do you want to start? Who would you like to see?" And the two deep, and I'm like, you can't.
Don't go into that yet. No.
That's not where. This is not the spot in the practice.
That is August
continuum
conversations
that you find out who your two deep are.
Right.
I mean, this is late spring, like post spring game at the very
I still
earliest.
stand by that. Those are an August conversation to have personally.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, right now you're right. You're just getting guys conditioned. You're getting them reps. You're getting your new. I mean, we have a entirely new coaching staff. You have a whole new system, offense, defense, special. You have everything to learn.
That was just something that kind of annoyed me because there's a lot of people that, and I think you can have an educated guess, but
Yeah.
I don't think there should be any like, this is who I want to see, because all that sets up for is disappointment. I mean, we hate to harp on him too much, but talk about Tanner last year. It's just like, maybe we wouldn't have been so disappointed if we didn't hype him up so much in spring ball.
Everybody predicted him as like Big Ten quarterback of the year before the year even started, and he was on the cover of magazines. He was like the guy in the Big Ten. It wasn't that good.
Yeah,
I get questioned all the time on my football tours when I'm giving them like, oh, who's going to be the quarterback next year? Who's going to be starting?
I don't know.
And I tell them straight up, like, I have no clue, and I don't want to know until about August.
Yeah, until when Coach Frost.
Until Coach Frost decides that it's about the right time. I tell my all my guests, I'm just like, I want competition. I don't want a quarterback right now. I want competitions. In the spring, you look for competition.
Yeah, and that goes for every position.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of people look at like all the JUCO guys we have, and it's like, I want to see these guys starting, and it's like, let's wait.
Let's see how they do first. Like maybe some of the freshmen, some of the underclassmen, maybe they're understanding this stuff.
Yeah, maybe
they're
they
clicking with this
system. Maybe Frost picks it up. And the players pick up Frost's system just as well. But still, regardless to that one minor nitpick I've been having, for the social media side of things, I've been really enjoying and I don't feel like there's been a circus. I don't feel like.
I feel like it's been terrible. Yeah, not as bad as previous springs that we've experienced here as students on campus. Like, you're always hearing like all the different rumors of Riley and his practices.
Yeah.
He let the media in a lot more, and I mean, Coach Frost is going to let the media in. You're going to have to, and he knows kind of the principle of that. But I think he's also just telling everyone, like, we just got here. We just started spring ball. We don't know what's going on yet. We're figuring it out. And I think that's just the right way to handle this right now, especially with everybody's so excited and so hyped for the spring game. I'm excited for the spring game. I don't expect much.
No, I wouldn't expect much either. I mean, you think about last year's spring game, and that was just kind of the trendsetter, I feel like, for the year. It was just a lot of hype.
Yeah.
That in hindsight, honestly,
this
wasn't
quarterback
that.
stood out. This player stood out. This guy ran really well. All that kind of stuff. So I don't think we're going to dive into much of that for a while.
No, I don't actually.
And I don't expect Frost and his staff to dive into that for a while. I do know, though, they've still been pretty heavy on the recruiting efforts. We actually just had a visit this past weekend from a variety of recruits.
Junior's Day.
Yeah, it's a Junior's Day visit. They got to sit in on practice. But sadly, we had our class. Well, I mean, not really sadly, because we had a fun class on Saturday. But my coworkers, they were working, so they gave me some updates on the recruiting. Here's a fun fact for you. Last year, and I was helping out with this last year for the spring game. We had around 200 student athletes and guests at our spring game for football recruiting purposes.
Yeah.
Guess how many we have scheduled for this year's spring game?
350, 400,
500.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We've more than doubled what we had last year for spring game recruiting purposes with football. So
that's real good.
We got another visit, I believe, this coming weekend. I think it's like a second Junior's Day or some underclassmen visiting. Again, just kind of sitting in on practice, getting a campus tour.
I like it.
Hopefully I'll be able to work. It's going to be a little bit smaller than last week's, but I'm excited. Hopefully, again, just getting some kids in, getting them to see the program, getting them to see like what this system's about, what Scott Frost and his crew are going to do here.
Yeah, that's important. I I've really been. It's hard to disavow yourself from the hype because, like I always say, whenever we talk about the Scott Frost Regiment, we're not going to be very good this year.
No,
we aren't.
I was just giving my stadium tour a couple hours ago, and somebody asked me like, "Oh, are you excited? Like we're gonna be Big Ten champs soon?" So I'm like, 3 to 5 years maybe. And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Have you seen our schedule this year? And with a new system, a new coach, like I want us to win every game.
Yes.
It'd be great. I would never wish for Nebraska to lose it, but I would be surprised if we won 7 games this year. I would be genuinely surprised.
I don't know if I would be, gasp, shocked if we won 7 games, but I think that's our ceiling or very close to.
Oh yeah, I'd be really surprised, shocked at 8, 9 wins.
Yeah.
7, I'm like, okay, we could definitely do that. It would be very tough though.
It would be us reaching our potential for sure.
In year 1 of this.
In year 1, it would be us
coaching change and everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
All the faith to our boys, all the faith to Scott Frost. If he whips them into shape and pulls out a 12-0 season out of nowhere, wow, especially with the schedule, it'd be insane. I don't see that happening.
Yes.
That's not likely at all. It's
No.
not likely to happen in the next 2-3 years. It's going to be 3 to 5 years. Maybe start getting a couple Big Ten championship appearances, get a win in a few years. It takes time with this transition.
It does.
Don't expect everything to just be 2 deep rosters right away in the middle of spring ball.
and our new recruits are just automatically going to fit into his system.
Yeah, no, it's
a process.
It's still a process, just like any other school. Like Bama, there's still a process.
Yeah.
They have their process kind of down to a science now because they've been running it so long.
Yeah.
We're starting ours. It just takes time.
It does. And but with that also being said, it's okay to be excited.
Oh.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean,
to be hyped up for where we are going as a program.
Oh, I'm ecstatic about this.
So it's going to be a good year, I think. It might not be a successful year, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
I think success is determined by how we look at it, and as long as it's a step in the right direction, I would consider this a success.
Yes, I would too.
If we're getting better as a team, that's a success. Last year, we did not get better as a team week by week. That wasn't a success.
Yeah, this year, I think we all have to look at it in a relative sense, and how
definitely.
we look at how we look at the season just as a whole in general. And like I said, all we can do right now is speculative. When the spring game comes, we'll have a full breakdown of that and how it looks, and what's going on.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun show.
It'll be a fun show. I'm excited. I'm really excited to discuss that one.
All right, now let's move on to our next big topic before we get to tonight's national championship game. Nate, there was a national championship game last night.
There was a national championship game.
Did you get to catch
night.
any of this game?
I did not.
I got to see a couple parts of it, mostly getting updates on my phone, and then I watched a little bit of the third quarter. Then some friends and I went out to dinner, and I got the update for the game-winning shot, and I watched it at dinner with my friends, and wow. Incredible finish by the Fighting Irish, knocking off Mississippi State. This is for the women's national championship tournament.
It was a heck of a game.
Oh, incredible. And Notre Dame was down by 13 at halftime. They scored 3 points in the second quarter. 3 points, Nate, in one quarter.
How do you win when you do that? The women's game of college
Halftime
football
adjustments.
is a very much a get ahead,
Did you
stay
just say
ahead type
college
of game.
football? It's college basketball.
I said
Nate.
college ball.
Oh, I thought you said college football.
No, I'm pretty sure I said college ball.
Okay, just checking. We're in the right
But-
sport. Moved on from
But
football.
yes, but women's college basketball is very much a get ahead, stay ahead type of game. The landscape is very stratified between even the good and the better teams. We saw that the Final Four was all the 1 seeds.
Yeah,
that never happens in men's.
No, it really doesn't. The women's bracket does. There's an extreme drop off from those top tier teams
To even the good teams.
even just the really solid can beat you once in a while teams.
Yeah.
Or will win most of their games in a season, but against these top tier teams, they're not gonna really touch them.
I mean, you think about all the teams in the Big Ten: Ohio State, Michigan, Maryland, that were better than Nebraska, by a decent margin, and they didn't even come close.
Oh no,
To making the Final Four.
no. And one thing that shocked me too, we were talking about it at Easter with my uncle. the Notre Dame UConn game. I mean, you had a couple ideas on how they're like.
I don't know. I brought up the conditioning, and I don't know.
That was more of a social media kind of comment that we had seen.
It is. I get a lot of my stuff from social media. I'm very active on the social media boards, but I think exhaustion and like lack of conditioning is not entirely the way to put what I was trying to say. I think what I was meaning was more that UConn doesn't play relevant games enough.
Oh no, I mean they were beating teams by like 90 points earlier this tournament or something like that. So they're not used to playing those close, tight games.
No. They play what, 4 games every single year that prepare them adequately for a game of Notre Dame's caliber. And I suppose the other argument against my point would be to say, yeah, Notre Dame does the same thing.
They do hack through most of their schedule. You're right. But that just goes back to these top tier teams being so far ahead of the rest of the bracket.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, that means women's basketball is a little hard to watch, which is something I do and don't agree with in a sense,
yes, but then you also get Notre Dame and UConn or Notre Dame and Mississippi State, and you're like, wow, these teams are both phenomenal, and somehow one of them has to come out on top.
I mean, Agumbawale's shot, it's just dagger. It's ice in her veins.
Unbelievable. She was the one who made the shot against UConn, too. And, like, how? How?
You look at that and you're just like...
The fadeaway 3 last night, though, was incredible. Absolutely incredible. For those who missed the shot, like, 2 seconds, 3 seconds left or something?
Mm-hmm.
Inbound play over to the right side. She's running around the side of the three-point line, gets the ball, defender right on her, fades away to the right while shooting it, drains it as time runs out. They were tied at 58. Irish win at 61-58 with that shot. Insane.
It's
like,
it's just a testament to, the type of players you need in that situation. You need those players who can just pull up and take the threes. And she had 18 points. She was her second leading scorer, but she only went 6 for 21 that night. That was not her on her good night.
No, not her best night. Jess Shepard, though.
She played really well.
Former Husker. 8 for 10 shooting, 3 for 3 from the line. 6 total rebounds and 19 points. She was averaging a double-double throughout the tournament.
Yeah, she was. She is just a very good player. She spaces well. She posts well. She's just the type of player who can really do it all. This is, what Nebraska wanted when they recruited her. And there was a lot of factors that led to her not being happy, with the Huskers. And she made it to Notre Dame. And you know what? I'm not going to be sour grapes on this. I'm genuinely happy. Athletes, they should find the best situation for them.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, if they're not going to be happy here, it's not going to be good for them, but it's also not going to be good for the program that they're in.
No.
I mean, Nebraska you saw how bad we were last year for women's basketball. Part of it was just because Jess didn't want to be here. We had issues within the whole program.
Yeah.
So allowing her to leave, finding her position finding her a school where she is in a good position to play and really enjoys it, it's mutually beneficial.
Exactly. I'm very happy, that there was a story in the Omaha World Herald that I read about how she, she was very happy that she found a place, where she felt she could contribute.
And I think Notre Dame's really happy that she got a waiver to play this season.
I still don't know how she got that.
No idea. But I mean, with all their injuries earlier in the year.
I mean, your uncle said it best. They had 8 scholarship players.
I think seven scholarship players for this team. Yeah. And is incredible season for the Irish, working their way through a very tough schedule and throughout the bracket, throughout the tournament, facing off against UConn in the Final Four. Never easy.
No, 2 losses and
UConn was undefeated this year.
Yeah.
So if you're Notre Dame, that's an incredible season. And
yes.
Mississippi State as well. I mean, all those top teams. There's a reason they're the number 1 seeds. We talked about this. But great season to both. Incredible finish for Notre Dame. Those last 2 games, the last 2 shots of both those games were absolutely insane. I mean, the buzzer beater against UConn, deep deep jumper, 2-point jumpers, and then the fadeaway 3 last night was unbelievable.
It was truly crazy. Truly crazy. I mean, the women's program is there. It just I've always said that women's basketball is just a very different focus on the game. It's very much, and I don't mean this in any particular way, but it's just more of a focus on fundamentals. It's a lot more of players who have specific roles and they execute them. Which I think is probably my favorite part of women's basketball. And I've seen almost every Nebraska women's game this season, which is something I've not done pretty much my entire life up to this point. And that comes with me working with the team, shooting video for them. But
it puts it in a new perspective.
Yeah,
for
it
you.
does. It just I've really come to enjoy how the women's basketball as a team game, they work with each other, about how each player has, this person's good on defense, but she's not so good. She's not that great of a shooter, or she can hit threes, but, she can't defend off the pick and roll as well. And men's has that too, but, they have more athleticism, so they can kind of cover that up a little bit more.
Yeah, and they'll also go a little bit more for the flash. You get those fast break dunks and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
with girls, it's about you make sure you get that ball in the bucket, whether it's a smart pass at the end of the fast break.
Smart passing, smart dribbling.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of press, which is just something
much more press than
which is just something
you don't
not
see
seen.
that in the men's game. For
I mean,
sure.
As somebody who played high school basketball, it was just like, we pressed all the time, and it's just like that's just something you just don't see in very many levels of upper tier basketball play. In the women's college game, they do that all the time. So it's a very nice change of pace to the normal basketball style that the men's exhibit, and it's just a nice nightcap to an excellent season overall.
I just want to point out they scored 3 points in the second quarter, Nate. 3 points. Notre Dame scored 3 points in a single quarter, a whole 10 minutes of basketball.
Yeah, you couldn't tell me how they end up winning that game.
Halftime adjustments. They in the second half, in the third quarter, they outscored Mississippi State 24-11, and the fourth was 20-17. So, halftime adjustments played a huge role. But 3 points in one quarter, down by 13 at half.
I mean, all credit to them. All credit to Notre Dame coaching and players.
Great season.
They did a good job. Good season for pretty much all the teams involved. All right. That is it for our women's basketball coverage. We are going to take a quick break, and then after that, we are going to gear up for the big dance.
The biggest of all big
finale,
dances.
the final dance.
The final dance, that's right.
We'll have some recaps of the 2 games that went on Saturday.
Yes.
And then
we got to listen to and watch both those games together. So we had a lot of analysis.
We got a lot of things to say.
We'll talk about those final 4 games and then Michigan and Nova coming up tonight.
All right. Keep listening.
Dad, I'm hungry. Why don't we have anything to eat?
Those are words you never want to hear as a parent. But unfortunately, putting food on the table is a constant struggle for many low-income families here in Lincoln, and they don't have the necessary skills to get and maintain a job. They rely on volunteers at the Center for People in Need that can help them through the struggle. You can make a difference in their lives by getting involved in one of the many volunteer programs that the Center for People in Need offers. For more information, please visit centerforpeopleinneed.org.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Whether college graduation is in a few months or in a few years, gaining hands-on experience in your field of interest is a must. While a college degree is a fruitful step towards acquiring a top-tier career, today's employers are looking for college grads that already have some experience under their belt. Here at Husker HireLink, we're here to ensure that you're the person they're looking for. By simply uploading your current resume and skills, we can connect you with hundreds of employers seeking to hire college students to fill their intern, part-time, and full-time positions. Log on to HuskerHireLink.com today to get started.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
All right, we are back for more Second String. We have some more interesting things to talk about.
I think the first half was quite interesting. Okay, now, like football, women's basketball national championships.
Yeah, I said that wrong. I was navigating my computer while I was thinking.
That doesn't work for you at all.
I can't multitask, man.
No, you cannot. Lucky for you, I can. And
Okay.
I think we should start with the Final Four games that we listened to and saw once we got home for Easter break. And some good games.
Some very good games.
Very good games. Let's start with the more upsetting one. Michigan coming away with the victory over Loyola Chicago. We were both huge Ramble fans, Sister Jean, all that. Sadly, they could not ramble on in this game, losing 69-57. But the Wolverines, they're looking good, Nate. They're on an extremely good hot streak. That started like late regular season.
Yeah, it's for the Michigan Wolverines. I don't know how they did it. I really don't. I mean, I know why they did it. They have really, really good players. They run a very tight defensive system. They can survive a lot of runs. They have a lot of three-point shooters that only need...
and Mo Wagner.
Yeah, Mo
Wagner.
Wagner. Mo Wagner. He's
Mo
a
Wagner.
good reason.
That's all you need to know. Like 10 of 16, 3 of 7 from three-point land, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 15, Nate.
I'm not...
3 steals, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 3 steals. This man was their team. He was more than a third of their points.
Yes. I mean, there's not much else to say
especially
about
for
that.
a game where the rest of their team was not playing well. Abdul Rahman, he had 7 points. He was 2 for 11, 0 for 5 from three-point land.
I mean, Mo Wagner is...
Simpson, 0 for 6, 0 for 3 from three-point land. He didn't have a bucket. He didn't have a single bucket against Loyola Chicago.
He did not.
Matthews had a decent game, 7 for 12 with 17. Not much from their bench, total of 21 from their bench total, but I mean, it was Mo Wagner and Mo Wagner. And Mo Wagner. And I think Mo Wagner helped out as well.
I mean, you could see it even when Loyola was up 7, they were up 8, they were up 6. Mo Wagner just kept him in the game. There were so many possessions where Michigan would drive to the hoop, great defense, people would come and help.
They miss a layup, they miss a hook shot or something.
Mo Wagner just grabbed the offensive rebound. He was just bigger than every player on Loyola's team.
Yeah.
And that's important in basketball.
It
always stinks to say, but just being the bigger, more dominant athlete is such a help. And Mo Wagner is just that, just dominant.
Now, Loyola had a 10-point lead with about, 7 minutes left?
8
minutes left, something like that. And then we were listening on the radio on our drive home, and the next 9 possessions up the court, they seemingly just handed the ball over to Michigan. So many turnovers, 17 total, and I think 11 or 12 of them were all in the second half. And we couldn't believe it. Just every time up the court, we're listening, and there's this guy dribbles in, or Towns takes it up the right side, tries to pass it. Oh, it's stolen. Next time up, Custer takes it up left side. Custer dribbles in, passes to Kurtwig. Oh, it's stolen. So many turnovers to close out that game for Loyola.
For a team that prides itself on its efficiency, it just couldn't do it.
It was really upsetting because, again, I mean, you want a Cinderella story like this, an 11 seed, that would have been crazy to see in the national title game. And, I mean, again, Loyola Chicago, they're a great, great basketball team. I made my somewhat joking comment last week where I said that they're the best team in the city of Chicago. But, I mean, they played a great game. They were down early but kept themselves in the game with their defense, and then kind of worked their way back in. Went on a little run, had the lead at halftime. Started off the second half really hot, got some big buckets. Krutwig had a great game.
He played really
6 rebounds, 17 points. He was everywhere in the paint, but he had 6 turnovers. His passing at the end of the game, he was part of the reason why they gave up their 10-point lead so quickly. It's just dumb passes at the end, fumbling the ball out of bounds, fumbling the ball down low and trying to get a shot. You got to hold on the ball. You got to. If you're gonna you can afford some turnovers. That happens in basketball, but Michigan scored so many points off of turnovers. Nate,
it was honestly astounding at points when we were just listening to it at the car, and it was just like you said, it was just turnover, and by the third time, you and me, our heads were in our hands. Yours metaphorically because you were driving, but. We were just kind of sitting there like, no, what are you doing, guys?
That we didn't hear. I think for like 8 or 9 straight possessions, we just heard turnover Loyola Chicago.
Another turnover. I mean, look at the turnover numbers. Krutwig 6 turnovers, Custer 3, Richardson 3. Richardson, for a guy who was historically good against Kansas State, I'm talking of his own personal history.
Yeah, I mean, he had a career high 23 points
23
in that game.
Points. And just 2 for 4 points. Like, that's just
they weren't shooting as
enough.
well. I mean, Michigan was 25% from three-point land. They could not hit anything from three-point land in the first half. They warmed up a little bit in the second. Loyola Chicago, they don't take a ton of threes, but they were 1 for 10, so not really great shooting. But they're so efficient at working the ball inside, and that's what they did for the first half of the game and early in the second half, and then they just stopped. They tried. I remember what one of our biggest frustrations was on our drive home. There were back-to-back possessions where they tried a transition 3, pull up in the face.
Yes, I remember saying that to you. It was really
so
close to
upset.
that 8-minute mark, and I just looked at you and I said, "That's not it."
Yeah, that was right after
that.
That was right after they called like the 8-minute 10-point lead mark for Loyola, and back-to-back possessions. Michigan missed both those shots too. They got them off a rebound, transition 3, just run up, try to pull a jumper in their face.
Custer did that and Towns did that, and it was just like, no, that's not your guys' game plan.
Very poor shot choice at that time, and those were 2 big possessions I think that really turned the ball back towards Michigan.
I know, because it was one of those things where I know what they're trying to do. They were trying to hit that dagger shot that would really, break Michigan.
Yeah.
But that's not their game plan. You break them Loyola breaks teams by taking 20 seconds off the shot clock and
working the ball inside
and
getting an easy I mean, they were shooting 43.1. I mean, their points in the paint in most games are ridiculous. I remember when I was watching them against K-State a week ago and a couple games ago. Their points in the paint were as many points as Kansas State had total in the game at one point.
Yeah.
They had it was like 38 points in the paint out of their 50-some, and Kansas State had 36 or 38 points total. Their efficiency is what drives teams nuts, and that's how they get those big leads and work the clock at the same time. And they got away from that late in the game, and then they had to scramble at the end. And
they got flustered, and
I mean, kudos to Michigan though for
they are a heck of a team.
Down 8, down 7, down 10. They never let that game get too far out of reach. And again, we mentioned Mo Wagner, but dude was phenomenal.
The one Mo Wagner play that stands out extremely well is the time where Loyola double teamed him, trapped him
phenomenal
incredibly,
trap,
perfect trap, and Mo Wagner, he just stands up, does like a little hop, and perfectly skip passes over to I think Simpson, who was standing out on the wing, who threw it.
He cut it down to Matthews,
who just nailed an open 3, and it was like such a perfect play to illustrate.
Yeah, and just to get out of that double team. It was a great trap by Loyola, and Wagner was able to find a way out of it and keep his team alive and ended up getting a bucket for his team. So, great performance by Michigan. Frustrating end for Loyola Chicago, but I mean, hey, great tournament for them.
It was a great tournament.
Final Four appearance. They're a very fun team to watch. Sister Jean or no Sister Jean, they're just a very fun basketball team to watch when they play their game.
It was. It was just such a phenomenal run. It's one of those things that make you go, oh yeah, this is where this is why you watch college basketball for games like this. And they performed very well, and I'm glad that we got to experience that.
Oh, definitely. Now the other game we got to experience, Nate, a lot of people experience. I think a lot of people were really anticipating this game.
I thought this game was going to be awesome.
Two number 1 seeds, 2 blue bloods, Kansas, Nova.
I mean, this was also supposed to be, one of those reasons you like March Madness so much, to see the high-powered teams just carve away at each other.
And then Nova hit 13 threes in the first half.
In the first half.
Oh, my God.
It was crazy.
My goodness. That was insane. They shot 45% from three-point line, 18 of 40. They hit 18 three-pointers, Nate. 18.
There's
18.
It's hard for me to.
Nate, that's 54 points just in three-pointers.
They hit three-pointers to start the game.
They hit like 8 three-pointers to start the game. They were up 22-2 at one point or something like that, right?
Right.
I mean, they were just raining on Kansas early on. I mean, those first, I think they started 5-7 or 5-6, and 4 of them were three-pointers, all back to back to back to back. And Kansas just could not find any rhythm all game long. I mean, Nova ran away with this one early.
Yeah, very, very early.
And again, I've been saying this all tournament with Nova. Very, very efficient from the 3-point line, and that's what they base their game plan off of. They're a very efficient team, very well-rounded team overall. But I mean, the game against Texas Tech, they shot 15% from 3-point land.
15%, and they ended up winning by 12. And this time they
shot 45, and they won by 26. Or sorry, 16. 16. They were up. It seemed like they were up by 26 the whole game.
They were up by 20 pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, it did not matter what Kansas tried.
It did not.
Nova just rained on them.
I mean,
and if Nova brings anything like that to tonight's game, it's done early.
It's done very early. I've said Michigan is a very composed team. They can't compete with what Villanova put out.
Not if they shoot like that. No, I don't think anybody could compete with Nova. I mean, they look like the Warriors out there, just raining three. That just looked like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Durant just dropping 8 3-pointers apiece on people.
Yes,
that was one of the more impressive barrage of shooting that I've seen in a long time, and just so fluent too. They would work the ball inside, move around a little bit, wait for a double team to come crash down, and a very smart pass out to the edge. And then even with the contested shots, they missed a few of the contested ones kind of later in the game. But early on, you put a hand in their face, it did not matter. They was stroking it.
I mean, you look at somebody like Pascal, who 10 for 11, 4.5, 4 out of 5 for 3, 24 points. They shot 7 free throws the entire game.
Jeez.
Midway through the second quarter, they did not shoot a single free throw.
It's ridiculous. Spellman had a great game too. He had 13 rebounds, 15 points. He was 3 of 9 for 3-point land.
I mean, Brunson, who player of the year candidate.
Oh, for sure. He is 3 of 8 from 3-point land. Finished with 18, 6 assists. He had some really great passes throughout the game. I was really impressed with his passing. Just the way he found his teammates, found him in the corners, found him up top of the key. Would drive in, draw the defense in on him because it's Brunson. You're gonna crash down on you. You can't let him get a free lane to the basket.
No,
you can't let him get an easy bucket. So you make him pass out, and it didn't matter. Nova was not going to miss.
They just didn't, and it's a tough out for a Kansas team who I thought has played really, really well all tournament.
Definitely, and some people were kind of surprised they got a 1 seed. Some people were a little bit skeptic about them. I mean, it's Kansas. They've had early exits in the tournament before. Can't quite pull it all together. They looked really good this year. They played really smart basketball. They knew their strengths, focusing a lot of their offense through Newman and through Graham, who were both shot and played really well. I mean, Graham had 23, Newman had 21, so their two main guys are above 20, but that's hard to... It doesn't really matter when Nova's putting up 54 points in three-pointers alone. Like,
Yeah.
79 is a pretty good score for men's college basketball.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, when your best two players says over 20 and your role players, their role players were the ones that did not do well. You talk about Svi Mihalyuk, Vic, Azubuike did not play very well at all.
No, he did not.
Those are the guys that Kansas
Only 5
needed.
rebounds for him. He's one of the biggest guys on the court. You got to be able to box out and get those rebounds for your team.
And for Kansas, those role players,
to
they
be
just didn't
fair,
step
Nova
up.
was not missing many shots, so there wasn't a lot of rebounds to get. But
Exactly. But still, for Kansas, it's just a rough end to a tournament. And it's one of the things about March Madness is sometimes you just shrug your shoulders and say, we just didn't have it.
that's how it goes. I mean,
And it's such a brutal way to take a loss. I mean, you look at Nova last year. It's just second round they
second
lost.
round,
They didn't have it
completely
that day.
confuzzled. Yeah, that's just how it goes in college basketball. But I mean, hey, that makes for some great games.
It
Sometimes.
makes for some fun games. It makes for a fun tournament. It makes for fun discussion. And that's what we're having right now. It's college basketball. It's a heck of a thing.
Well, we got a little bit more to discuss, Nate,
We do.
because there's one game left of college basketball for the 2017-2018 season.
Michigan versus Villanova.
I'm gonna ask you right now who you got.
If you took a deadly weapon, you put it in my face, and you said, "Bet your life on who's gonna win tonight," I would pick Villanova.
Really?
But
What? Whoa, there's a but here.
I don't have a deadly weapon pointed on my face, only a microphone. So I'm going to be contrarian. I'm going to say Michigan's going to win.
Michigan, huh? Going with the Wolverines.
Yes, and here's why. Because I'm a contrarian. That's the reason. That's literally it.
Simply playing devil's advocate here.
Exactly. If you have a $10,000 you want to put down on a team, put it on Villanova. I think you won't win that much money, but put it on them. But here's why Michigan's going to win. Mo Wagner.
Mo Wagner.
He's the best player on the court.
Both teams, hands down.
I think he's better than Jalen Brunson, at least in terms of college talent. I think he can do everything. He can hit threes. He can post. He can rebound. I just think he's like the mold of the perfect college basketball player. He's active on defense. He is so good that Michigan might stay in the game no matter what.
He's averaging 14.6 points a game, shooting just under 53%, 7.1 rebounds per game, and 5 of them on the defensive side. So really making sure that the other team does not get second chance buckets. And we saw that against Loyola Chicago. And the other thing, too, is he had so many offensive rebounds against Loyola Chicago, partly because he was just a lot bigger than Loyola Chicago. Nova's going to be able to size him up a little bit better with Spellman and people like him, but you got a good argument there. Mo Wagner was the reason that they won against Loyola Chicago and that they were still in the game against Loyola Chicago. Nobody else on Michigan was shooting or could shoot early in that game.
I mean, Michigan also plays great three-point defense. Loyola Chicago shot the worst three-point shooting they've had all season against the Michigan. And
Michigan's defense has been tough all season.
They have a bunch of long-armed guys who can contest the three-point spot. And, Villanova shoots like they did last night, that's not going to matter. But if they don't...
If they shoot like a Texas Tech kind of game, 15% from three-point land,
that's going to matter. Michigan is designed to win those grinded-out games. You see their games in the Big Ten tournament against Michigan State, against Purdue. You think about their games against Houston.
Apart from destroying Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that. But
I'm going to call that more of a flop on our
you look
side.
at their games against Houston. You look at their games against...
I think most of their games, apart from Texas A&M this season, that was a tournament game, they've been, again, just absolute blowouts. Texas A&M was the blowout. you're right. Most other ones have just been those grinded out ones.
Yes.
Florida State 58-54.
Yeah, they
Houston
are built
64-63.
I mean, think of about the players they have. Think of
Montana. They struggled with Montana for a while.
Yeah,
And then
think
kinda
about
got the grasp of its second half.
think about Simmons. Think about Rockmon. Like, these are long-arm players who are built to contest the three and to grind it out with you. And
They'll make you work for every shot.
And a lot of Michigan's players did not play that well against Loyola Chicago.
No, Rockmon, again, we mentioned he only had a couple buckets. Simpson didn't have any. He didn't score.
Yeah, so I mean, I hate to be the gambler's fallacy guy. That's just like, oh, they didn't shoot well. That means they're definitely shooting well tonight. But sports are some black magic voodoo stuff, man.
And you never know what's going to happen in these national. I mean, the last couple national championship games we've seen, my favorite was 2 years ago, the Nova North Carolina one.
Yeah, and Nova wasn't even supposed to win that one.
No. I mean, that was going to be North Carolina just absolutely running away with it in like the 10-minute mark.
Yeah.
And Nova stuck with them all game, and just that the insanity of those shots at the end of the game. I don't know. I'm excited to see what goes on tonight. I'm watching a clip here from the Final Four Michigan-Loyola game, and it's just Mo Wagner boxing out or out-rebounding 4 Loyola Chicago guys all around him in the paint and putting in put-back buckets. Again, he's not going to be able to size up Nova as well as he did with Loyola Chicago.
No, he's not. But
he
will get his points, and
he's
he will
a primary
score,
X factor in this game to watch.
He is, and I am extremely, extremely excited to watch him and see how he performs.
No, he's been a fun player to watch all season, and really in this tournament, people have known his name. He's definitely Michigan's kind of front man all season, but I think this tournament is really where he's made his name kind of a household name and been like, hey, I'm a really good basketball player, and whatever team faces me, they're going to have a very difficult time.
Exactly. Now, if I asked you who you're taking, I think you'd have a very different answer.
Nova.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair.
First of all, I've always enjoyed watching Nova basketball just since I was a kid. I don't know why I never followed college basketball much until I got into school here, and then I started following a lot more hardcore. But whenever I was a kid filling out a bracket and I saw Nova, I'm just like, oh, that just seems like a cool name, cool team. I watched a little bit of in the tournament.
They're a mid-major team who has a lot of sustained success.
Yeah.
They have a coach who stuck with them and did not jump to a big-name program the first opportunity he got. I think there's a lot to like about Villanova holistically. I do not blame you 1 second.
Yeah, and I just remember watching some tournament games with them, and I'm like, wow, this is a fun team to watch. I think they have a good system. Again, this is a youthful Alex watching basketball, so he doesn't understand the systems as much as he does now.
Yes.
And me at my age of 22 now, the ripe age of 22. But no, I've always enjoyed watching Nova. Still a little salty that Michigan just destroyed Nebraska, so I wouldn't be upset watching them lose. But I think this is going to be a closer game than people think.
I think so,
Nova's
too.
not going to shoot like they did against Kansas.
Or maybe they will. And they'll blow them out.
They have the potential to, because it's Villanova, and their three-point shooting is absolutely unreal. So it could happen. I don't think, like you mentioned with Michigan's defense, very, very tough on the perimeter, not allowing many teams to shoot very well outside. Florida State, they shot terribly outside against Michigan. So, again, I think this is going to be closer than most people are really thinking. I mean, it's like 80-20 percent-wise on favoring Nova right now. So,
it's 80-20 for a reason. I'm going to give you 2 stats, and I'm going to tell you why it points to Nova winning easily tonight.
Okay.
Tournament scoring margin. In the tournament, the team who has had a bigger tournament scoring margin has won the title. Guess how many straight times?
16.
14.
14. Oh, cool. Guess.
14 straight times the team who has outscored their opponents by more has won the championship. Villanova has scored little bit more, 0.23 points per possession, more than
0.23.
Michigan has scored 0.17 points per possession.
Okay.
This is on a per possession basis.
Gotcha.
This isn't total numbers based scoring.
All right.
So this is only, so every time up down the court, they're expected to get X points per possession. Villanova is expected to get 0.23 points per possession. Michigan is expected to get 0.17 points per possession.
What if Michigan starts stealing the ball like they did against Loyola? I mean, Loyola helped them on some of those dumb passes and stuff, but Michigan, we've talked about their very, very tough defense. I mean, I'm usually the one vying for Villanova, but I'm pulling a Michigan card here and saying their defense is not going to be something that Nova has faced all season.
Nope.
Nothing like them. I'd say that I'd have to go out on a limb with this one, but I think the toughest defensive team that Nova may have played so far, at least in the tournament wise, maybe Texas Tech.
It's Texas Tech.
Yeah, I would. They scored the least amount of points on them, but they also didn't shoot very well in that game. But
no,
I think Texas Tech just defensively was from Nova's position in the bracket. I think they were probably the toughest opponent thus far.
Exactly. And the other big stat that I think will handle how Villanova impacts against Michigan is the way their bigs play.
See, that's kind of the feeling I'm having. Is like
Omari Spellman and Eric Paschal.
Yeah, Paschal and Spellman, they're the two that are really going to make the difference because I think this game is going to be one down low with Spellman, Paschal, and Wagner. Those three guys, whoever has the best game out of those three guys could tip this scale. I don't think it's very possible. I don't think Nova's going to shoot like they did against Kansas. And I don't think Michigan's going to shoot like they did against Loyola.
Yeah, I
Michigan
think it's going to be more even effort.
So it's going to even out a little bit,
so
which
for
comes
Paschal
down.
and Spellman, they are bigs who can go out to the perimeter. Now
And they can stroke it out. They can rain on you if they have the room.
Mo Wagner, he can defend on the perimeter. I'm not worried about him defending either.
He can get some shots out there, though. He was 3 for 7 from 3-point land last game.
No, I know. I said Mo Wagner can defend.
Sorry. Okay.
Those guys from the perimeter, but John Teskey, Isaiah Livers, can they match Paschal or Spellman out there on the 3-point line?
I don't know if he can go 1-for-1 on each three with them. That's a big jump.
Those two guys aren't 3-point shooters. I'm more talking about the defensive side.
Yeah.
Villanova spaces the floor so well. Their guys know what spots. They know how to get the position. That's why they get so many open
Their
threes.
switches are so efficient too.
Their bigs know where to be at all points in the possession. Their big men know where they need to be. Are they inside? Are they on the block? Are they in the upper key?
Yeah.
Are they posted in the corner?
Whenever they move towards the ball or away from the ball, it is with purpose.
Which is so nice. You don't see that very often in the college game.
No, you really don't. But no, I think you're right. Those three guys are going to be three of the keys to watch because the perimeter shooting is going to even out compared to the last two games that these teams plays. Michigan's going to shoot a little bit better. I don't think Abdul Rahman hasn't had a great tournament, but I don't think he has a necessarily bad game tonight.
No.
Simpson, you're not going to keep him scoreless two games in a row. That's not possible.
Exactly.
Brunson, he's going to get his. Nova's going to shoot their three ball. There's no way they're going to shoot 18 three-pointers and 13 of them in a half.
It would surprise me. I think it's going to be a really fun game.
Oh, I'm really excited for tonight.
So to wrap up our college basketball thing, what's your final score, Alex?
Final score. I'm taking the Nova Wildcats, and we're going to go 83-76.
Michigan drags them down, knocks them out, kind of punches Villanova in the face again. Villanova shoots 20% from three.
That's okay.
They shoot 6 for 24 or something like that. That's not 20%, I know, but that's not 20% at all.
It's 25%.
25%.
You're kind of close.
Yeah, they shoot 5 for 20. 5 for 20.
That's still 25%.
Stop it, man! I'm not doing this with you.
Simple math, Nate.
I can't do it. I'm not a math major. But Michigan drags them out. Villanova shoots 20% from three. Mo Wagner has 20 points, 16 boards.
I'm going to change my score pretty. I think I'm missing. I'm expecting both teams to shoot like crazy, and I just said that it was going to even out. I'm going to drop it down to 76 to 69.
Yeah, Michigan drags it out. Mo Wagner has 24 points, 16 boards. Rockmar drops like 16, 17, and they tough out Villanova 56-54.
Taking the Wolverines.
Yeah, why not? I'll be
Just for
contrarian.
fun tonight, yeah.
Just for fun.
I mean,
I've already said if you have a gun to your head or large sums of money you want to bet,
pick Nova.
pick Nova. But I'm gonna pick Michigan because I'm a contrarian.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. We got to have some sort of little bet going on tonight with each other. So.
Exactly. We'll see. The winner will be able to open the show next week. And
Oh, really?
yeah, I mean,
Okay. You're risking. You'll let that go. You'll take an L on that one for
I'll take an L on that one.
for the Wolverines. Who
Yeah,
knows? They
it's-
might. I mean, stranger things have happened in college basketball, especially this year. I mean, Michigan is not a team that you want to sleep on. They've been on an extremely good hot streak, and I think Nova knows that. I think they're kind of ready for them.
I mean, this is the final. Neither team is overlooking the other.
Definitely. I mean, they're both coming in with the mindset of, like, we need to get this done and we need to play our best basketball to do it. But Mo Wagner, Spellman, I'm excited to see that matchup.
That'll be a fun one for sure. For sure. All right, that's enough about the NBA. We only have a couple minutes left. Do you want to talk about the NBA a little bit, just for a little bit of a palate cleanser?
Sure. We'll get a quick little NBA refresher and we'll get out of here and get ready for the game.
I know it'll be interesting. Actually, I want to talk about just one topic in the NBA because I've been curious to hear your thoughts about this.
All right.
For a while now, and I keep forgetting to bring it up. What are your thoughts about Kawhi Leonard, man?
We mentioned this a couple weeks ago.
Yes, we didn't talk about it nearly enough. As we
No,
should have.
not at all. I don't know what is going on with that man. Like,
Do you see the reports? Greg Popovich was like, he's with his people in New York now. You know, he'll play when he's ready.
I don't know what he's doing. I mean, Kawhi has always been a very mysterious player to begin with. So
Yes.
this isn't necessarily surprising me that much, but it still surprised me. I'm like, Kawhi, you're one of the best basketball players in the world. You're the Claw. I mean, defensive player, your defensive MVP. Like, you can go toe for toe with LeBron on a pretty good day for you, like, or for the most part. I mean, you can shut down LeBron when needed for the most part. You can hang with anybody. And you're part of an organization with arguably the best coach in the league, and you have a good base of teammates around you, that a good talent pool that you could work with and at least compete for the Western Conference title.
It's been really bizarre.
Really bizarre.
The
I
one
just don't understand his reasoning.
The one prevailing theory that I've said is, you remember when Kawhi Leonard turned down that big shoe contract from Jordan Brand
Yes.
because it wasn't big enough?
Yes.
Well, there have been the thought, and kind of the prevailing narrative is that somebody in his camp, or maybe Kawhi himself, is not happy with how he's portrayed in the media. People don't see him as a star on the level of, Harden or LeBron.
That's just because he doesn't talk, I don't think.
That is-
that is my primary characteristic that I think is just weighing him down. Is he's not a guy to say anything.
And I sympathize.
He's just mysterious.
I was like that when I played sports too. I wasn't a big vocal leader. You can say with that as you will, whether that's a downside, whether that's an upside.
That's probably why you're not getting a shoe contract, Nate.
There's other reasons why I'm not getting a shoe contract. But, I was that style that Kyrie does. Kyrie, I like to think I was a leader, but I wasn't screaming in people's faces. I wasn't, yelling. I went about my business and did what I did. So I get it, but it seems like Kawhi might not be happy
Doing that?
being that guy anymore. Maybe it's affecting his visibility, his marketing potential, and he wants to get the money.
I mean, that's what these guys do. Some of them can definitely play drama queen for it. I never imagined Kawhi Leonard being that kind of player.
Who knows, man?
Really surprising. I don't know about that. We'll see.
One thing's for certain, we're not going to have a solution to that while we're on the air.
No, and we're not going to see that anytime soon, I don't think.
We're not going to see the resolution to this anytime soon.
I don't think we're going to see him play anytime soon.
I mean, he's done this year.
Yeah.
He's not coming back.
Not coming back for this year, so we'll see how next year goes. Playoffs coming close, though.
We'll break down the NBA playoffs when it gets here.
Sounds good. Thank you all for tuning in to the Second String.
Yes.
Get ready to go watch the national championship game. That's where Nate and I are headed. It's been a good one, Nate. We'll see. I mean, Nova,
I'm
Michigan,
excited. I'm
it's gonna
excited.
Be a good game.
It'll be a fun night.
For sure. Well, for Nate Muehlbach, I'm Alex Fernando. Thanks again for listening to the Second String on KRNU 2. We'll catch you later.
Have a good one, guys.